Hello everybody, I just thought I'd jump on and do a quick video because I got something through the door a couple of days ago and I had actually just ripped it up and threw it in the bin, but now realised that, well, it's just on there. I just want to make a quick, very quick reaction video to. So what it is this. I'll just grab it. And it is that leaflet, as you can see. I've ripped it up. So that is a leaflet from the Labour Party. Now, obviously, I put it where I think it belongs in the bin, but on reading it, after ripping it up, I thought, hang on, I think I should do a reaction to this. So the top bit, it just says that Keir Starmer, not Keir Starmer, not someone I rely on his opinion, but he wants us to vote for our local candidate, obviously. And he says in the first part, which you can't read properly, that you could either have Conservatives or Labour, which is obviously the normal uniparty BS, isn't it? The two parties saying, oh yeah, well, you're fed up of version 1, so have version 2 of the same, you know. Anyway, so that's the top bit of it. But I thought I would actually just go through the body of it here because they've actually laid it out quite nicely with these bullet points here. So I'm just going to read them. And now, actually, so he talks about energy bills, mortgage payments, family. What does he say? He says, he claims quite correctly that the Conservatives, the Tories, have actually, raised energy bills, mortgage payments, and that public services are failing. In fact, in terms of public services, I think he's 100% right there. I think every public service is failing except for the taxation system and the benefit system. So the money seems to still be working. He says the country needs change. And he says Labour has a plan to deliver. I've not seen much of Labour's detailed plans or anything really, but they don't seem to really propose change at all. But he says his steps for change are fully funded, ready to go actions. And the first thing he said, and this is really why I did this video, is he said he would deliver economic stability. Well, admittedly, the Conservatives have got us into a recession. The Conservatives have basically caused a high inflation, cost of living crisis. The mechanisms for doing that were the spending in COVID, previous tax and spend policies, and spend without tax, quantitative easing, basically printing money, and added to that the sanctions on Russia and the war that the proxy war that the Conservatives have been backing in the Ukraine. But Labour say they will deliver economic stability, but they are not going to stop printing money. They are not going to cut expenditures. They are not going to stop sanctioning Russia and therefore denying ourselves the reasonably priced raw materials that Russia provides. All sorts of inputs such as fertilizers, gas, oil, gas, fertilizers, and other raw materials that we need. And those raw materials feed through, so fertilizers feed through to the price of food at the farm gate. I had to fish this out of the actual rubbish bin, by the way, to do this, of the recycling. So he says he'll deliver economic stability, but he doesn't have any policy proposals that will make any difference to what the Tories have done. So basically, baloney. And also, another thing to ask yourselves is, has Labour ever delivered economic stability? The reason Thatcher took over in 1979 or something like that? I was alive. Well, I was a wee kid. And, well, not so wee, but relatively wee. The reason Thatcher took over is because Labour had put the economy in a nosedive. I think things were dire. The lights went out, so there were power cuts all the time. There were shortages and things. Then the next Labour government, Blair particularly, I mean, Brown was the one who finished it, but Blair was basically setting the tone. Haha, that tone, Tony Blair. That's my joke. So Blair, or Anthony Parsons, which is his real name, was actually in charge, and at the end of it, they had to give 200 billion to the bankers. Apparently, perhaps they caught someone with their trousers down. That is, one of the government, and the bankers required 200 billion to be saved, maybe more, and the country was plunged into recession. Indeed, much of the world, because of failure to regulate banks and an excessive desire to bail out the rich at the expense of the bulk of the population, the vast bulk of the population in the broad middle. So Labour has not delivered economic stability for a long time. It is more than 50 years since Labour has ever delivered economic stability. Yes, in the early days of Blair's Labour, there was economic stability when he carried on the policies of John Major, but when he started to deviate from that, he was laying the groundwork for an economic disaster. It says he'll cut NHS. Now Starmer says he'll cut NHS waiting times. Perhaps he will do that, but at what cost? Then, and has he got any clear plan to make the NHS a very high quality service that people actually want to work in? And he says we'll launch a new border security command. Well, it's not the fact that you call it Border Force, Customs and Excise, Border Security Command, or whatever fancy title you come up with it. The fact is they're perfectly capable of doing the job anyway. It's the fact is, are you getting the people on the planes to Rwanda? Are you getting them shipped back to France when they come over here? Because France is not a place that people need to come at the present moment, that people need to come as refugees to Britain. And if they do, they're probably French citizens who are dissidents. That is about the only people that need to come from France to here. And that would be a very, very few dozen people a year. So there's no need to leave France. There's no war in France. There's no famine there. As far as I know, France is famous for its food and its farmers. So there's no need for people to be leaving France and coming here. So they should be shipped back to France pronto as soon as they turn up, whether they turn up on our shores, whether they turn up in the Channel, whether they turn up on boats, on swimming, or whether they've fished out of the sea back to France. Set up Great British Energy. And well, what is that? Like, the next thing, set up Great British Energy. Well, so what? The fact is we already have now government control of energy prices. What difference is he going to make? Is he gonna dig more gas out of the North Sea? Is he going to dig more coal out of Cumbria or wherever it is? This fancy titles, fancy organisations, it's going nowhere. Crack down on antisocial behaviour. Well, sounds like a good plan, but they've been talking about antisocial behaviour, I suppose, since the days of Thatcher. Until we get proper discipline of children by parents, a bill of parental rights and responsibilities, so the parents have control over their children. Until we get teachers in school having powers to discipline children in a meaningful way, including possibly I personally think corporal punishment is necessary. And until they take the bull by the horns and say, look, children need a firm hand. They need guidelines. They need clear patterns of behaviour laid down from the word get-go. Just saying that they're going to crack down on it. It starts at home and it carries on in the school. I think that this is just going to be addressing street behaviour, and I don't personally see how they're going to do anything. And there's going to be certain demographics, certain groups of people that they're going to be finding it very difficult to crack down on antisocial behaviour when it's not even antisocial behaviour. It's pure blatant criminality, gangs, massives, kids carrying knives, stabbings, drug dealing, county lines, drug dealing, exploited children in various types. It's a serious problem. It needs a huge policing input. Just saying it's antisocial behaviour is just scratching the surface. It's a sticky plaster. So I'm not impressed. And in fact, what's needed is policing needs to become more effective and more efficient. Policing needs to, the police service itself needs to return to its traditional values, and it needs to also focus more on the detective work, and there need to be more auxiliaries who are more cost effective, but well led, well and intelligently led, to actually carry out some of the more labour intensive tasks that the police face, where the police themselves carry out need to focus on what they're best at, and which is including detective work and other things that requires their extensive training. So and skill set. And then finally, he says recruit 6,500 new teachers. Well, you'll have to recruit 6,500 new teachers, because with the lack of discipline in schools, teachers are finding it completely unacceptable to actually work in British schools now and are leaving in droves. You recruit 6,500 new ones, you won't even be standing still. You'll still have less than you started out with. Teachers are just leaving. British graduates who are able to get a qualified teacher status are able to get work in about half the countries of the world, or possibly more, and in almost every country except for the United States of America, Canada, and Britain. They're probably better treated, and the children are probably more respectful. Some teachers' lives now are a nightmare, and why would they carry on teaching? Even if you paid them well, even teachers are quite well paid now, but the schools are in crisis, and this saying you'll recruit such X, Y, Z number of teachers isn't going to change anything. So Keir Starmer says he's changed the Labour Party. I don't know what he's changed it from. He looks just as Blairite as the others, except he seems to have a lot of more random people with him, to put it mildly. And he says he put it in the service of working people. I think that possibly Corbyn had more the interest of working people at heart, although I don't agree with Corbyn on many issues. And now he wants to change Britain. Well, if you have a look at the Labour Party and some of their leading lights, and if you want Britain to be reflected by them, well, I don't know what to say about it, but I certainly don't. And I think that this leaflet is pie in the sky. It's absolutely pie in the sky. And look, it's already torn, so it's going where it belongs, in the rubbish bin, which is behind the refrigerator. Well, in the recycling bin, that is. So that's my take on Labour's leaflets, for what it's worth. So I certainly shan't be voting Labour after looking at that leaflet with wishy-washy, flim-flam and bulldust. I certainly won't be voting Tory either, since they have actually pretty much shafted us for the last 14 years or however long it has been. And I certainly won't be voting Lib Dems. I had one of them on the doorstep. He said, I was questioning about a particular policy issue, and he started to quote the UK government's position. He seemed to think that the fact that the UK government, present Tory government, supported something meant that it was the right thing to do. So I won't be voting for them either. And the Greens, I'm green, I'm ecological, I love the environment, I need to be organic, and I believe we should not pollute. But I looked at their leaflet, and it's just a collection of woke nonsense, just a smorgasbord of woke nonsense, just picked out because they're trendy and fashionable in the elite circles. And for example, they call for a ceasefire in Palestine, but they don't mention Ukraine, where 10 times more people have died than have died in Palestine. They don't mention the proxy war that the global elite are actually funding against Russia, funding and organising against Russia, which is bankrupting the West and basically bankrupting the poor and the ordinary people, and not affecting the wealthier people, because wealthier people are making money off shares and things like that. So I certainly won't be voting Green, since they've just jumped on this. They claim to be peace party, but if they were really a true peace party, they would obviously want peace in the Ukraine as well. which just shows where they stand. That they basically are part of the problem, part of the elite now. Even though I was a member of the Green Party one time, and back in the day they were very much more genuine than they are now. So all this carbon stuff has got quite out of hand. In 15 minutes it is, and all that sort of thing that they support. No way would I vote for them. So that really leaves me with Reform and Renew and that sort of party, and any independents. I personally recommend voting for Reform or Renew. Andrew Bridgen's Alfred Andrew Bridgen's a very genuine guy. He's not standing against Reform anywhere, but he's a very genuine man who I believe wants to just be honest and serve the people. Reform seems to be the largest group that possibly might change things. I think they are relatively mainstream in a way, but they may well change things. And then any independents, of course, you can really pretty much say that they probably are very genuine, no matter what you think of their policies. So that's what I'm looking at, and I wish you all the best. So I'll leave it at that. Let's see how things go.